Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here with you. As always, it is 7 a.m. here in Nashville, Tennessee, June 30th, 2026. Our last day of June, heading into July. Unbelievable. Halfway through the year, more than halfway through the year. Hope you're all having a wonderful year and getting ready for the second half. So, today we're going to talk about it's really conversation that I kind of had many times, but in different ways. When we're talking about community and we're talking about building a team and we're talking about um, not going on your own. And, one of the greatest misconceptions of the entertainment industry is that every artist is competing for the same opportunity. It's not the case. While there are always while there will always be auditions, gigs, and limited opportunities, I found that the most successful people aren't focused solely on competition. They're focused on building community. When artists support one another, share knowledge, and celebrate each other's successes, everyone grows. A healthy, creative community creates more opportunities than one person could ever do alone. And that's the key thing here is what I've talked about. And at the end here, I'm going to give you 10 ways to build a creative community. There's a lot of different apps and there's different uh, websites to build communities. And obviously we have all these amazing social platforms to build communities. That's always an important thing to have, right? Or to use. You have to utilize those things, right? Just the same way we utilize all new technology that's coming up. We have to be able to understand it and implement it and not have it scare us, right? So when we're dealing with a community and building, why is this important, right? you know um Throughout my journey, whether producing this live stream show or organizing the writers rounds or hosting the You Are the Magic concert series or working through the JHS talent management opportunities that I'm working on right now, I've seen firsthand what happens when creative people come together. Friendships are formed, collaborations are born, and opportunities emerge that never would have happened if everyone stayed in their own lane. Some of the best connections begin with a simple conversation or introduction, and those relationships often lead to performances, interviews, business partnerships, and lifelong friendships. So I did an episode on networking, right, where we talked about what are the most important things about networking. And this is slightly different than what I'm talking than networking, right? A networking event could be you go to an event that has a ton of people in the industry, and you go there with your headshot and your resume and your QR code at this point of time, and you're gonna meet a lot of people. You're gonna scan a lot of QR codes. You're gonna come together. You're gonna maybe form relationships and business partnerships, right? And that's a networking event. What we're talking about here is building a community of artists and like minded filmmakers, musicians, and individuals that will come together and maybe even help each other in their projects and come together for certain events and put events together for the purpose of having that unity of doing that. And yes, those events may become networking opportunities, right? They may become writers' rounds. They may become just a show somewhere, right? But that's not really the purpose of this episode here. It's really for community. It's really because we have to we're fighting against the robots, right? We're fighting against the system that really has a lot of control over what we do, who we are, how we get there, right? That ceiling that we always talk about that we're trying to break through, the gatekeepers that are there trying to gatekeep basically and only allowing certain people in. Well, that's all gone now. It's really not as big deal. I mean, Hollywood right now, most of the meetings happening about entertainment aren't even in Hollywood anymore. Hollywood's not even invited. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, who's at the table now for entertainment? It's Netflix, it's Angel Studios, it's Amazon, it's I mean, yeah, I think probably Meta will someday get involved in that at some point. Probably, I mean, they're so huge. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. Um, Hulu and it goes on the list of all the platforms. You know what they are, and they are the ones that are sitting at the table, cooking up the next entertainment phase that we're going to go into or that we're in already, right? Hollywood's not in the mix anymore. Hollywood's just another place in California that makes movies or sometimes makes movies and TV shows and sometimes TV shows. But community also changes the mindset of an artist. And that's what we're trying to do here is instead of asking, how do I get ahead of everyone else, right? That's kind of like, if you're an actor and you're just all you're thinking about is, man, how do I get past all this and how do I get to the big time, right? The question becomes, how can we all move forward together? When you create a team of people, you're gonna, the egos have to go away. That's number one, and that's really difficult in this industry because this is an industry of look at me, right? This is an industry of judgment. It's an industry of criticism, and so you're competing with that. But that shift, that mindset shift, creates an environment where people are willing to mentor, recommend one another for jobs, share resources, and celebrate each other's accomplishments. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've I've been told that someone that was in one of my films got a role, a big role because of it. Or one person told me she got three roles. She got a theater to like a theater gig and like a couple of films um, from just being in my film, right? And that's the exchange. She came and did a wonderful job on my film, a film called Stabbed that I did quite a few years ago, a short, and she used that, as her card, her business card, right? And it got a lot of great response for her. And that to me was the greatest thing to hear, because a work that I put together that now is living on in someone who's actually benefiting from that work. Now you have to have that mindset when you're putting something like this together and you're putting a community. And by the way, it does. Well, I'm not talking about a community of thousands, or even hundreds. I'm talking about maybe if you can get 20, between 10 and 20 like-minded people, and create it and call it something and start a Facebook group and put it together and then start getting the elements needed to put projects together. You have meetings and you say, all right, who's working on anything? What are you working on? And if people are interested, oh, that sounds interesting, we should maybe all work on that. What do you guys think? Let's all work on that. Obviously finances are a big issue, right? Because everyone wants to get paid. People have to work, so they have to make money, so they have to be, if you're going to be involved in a project, sometimes you're involved in a project and it takes a long time for that project to come off the ground. But if you see the potential of that project, if you see, okay, this could go somewhere, because I see all the pieces and I see all the people involved, and they're very, very well established people. You want to stick to the program and wait until they get the funding, and then you can make some money and then do the film, right? So you have to look at every opportunity like, okay, can this help me and can this help others? And how can I help others? So all these questions have to be in one kind of mindset, right? You have to kind of like think, how can I grow my career while growing a community, while helping others do well? And that becomes the challenge. Ironically, when you spend less time worrying about competition, the more and more time creating value for others, your own career often grows as a result. This is like the whole thing is better to give than to receive. And that's a very, very biblical old saying and stuff. And not to get there, but when you give, you get. When you give a lot more of who you are and what you are, you get a lot more. And maybe it doesn't come flooding at you in finances, and maybe it doesn't come flooding at you in accolades and jobs, but it will come at you. You just have to have the right mindset and really continue helping others with the right idea in mind. I wrote a film called Nelson's Women that I haven't shot yet, but I wrote it when I was back in New Jersey, and I had it cast already, and then the world stopped for a few years, so I couldn't do it, and then I moved to Nashville, right? But in the film is the talk about karma. People are talking about karma, and it's an exploration of karma and how karma works. Someone has the wrong idea. They think, okay, well, let's help this person, because if we help this guy fall in love, we could all then fall in love, right? It doesn't really work that way, because you're not doing it for the sake of helping others. You're doing it for a selfish reason. And that's where it doesn't really benefit you. It doesn't really help. So the responsibility comes in. How can I sincerely help someone move forward and help someone do a better job in their lives and feel better? And when you really sincerely do that, that's when it comes back to you. Well, you don't even know it. You won't even feel it. You just know things are happening and you're working and you're doing well and opportunities are coming. Why does that happen? Because this is what you're putting out. You pull in what you put out, right? If you're putting out a lot of me, a lot of arrogance, a lot of what's in it for me. I want this, I want that. Well, what are you going to pull in? You're not pulling in anything. You're pulling in exactly that. Others doing the same exact thing and wanting the same exact thing, right? No one builds a lasting career entirely on their own. Behind every successful artist is a network of supporters, collaborators, mentors, venues, media outlets, and fellow creatives who who believed in them along the way. If you want stronger music scenes, healthier creative industries, and more opportunities for independent artists, we have to become builders of community instead of gatekeepers. When one artist succeeds, it doesn't diminish anyone else's chances. It raises the profile of the entire community and inspires others to keep creating. See, when one person gets a gig, that means that that gig is being fulfilled and that gig is happening. That means that there's other gigs be willing to be done. If no one is working and no one is booking anything and no one is getting any gigs at all, and the industry is like what happened in Hollywood, because what they did over there and all the stuff that was happening there and how they were writing and how they were casting, and that weird thing that was going on for so many years that's now kind of going away. That whole thing destroyed so many opportunities and jobs, because then if everybody said, well, now everyone has to work and we have to be very diverse and everyone has to work. Well, now what you did was you made it so now no one is working, because you weren't doing it for the right reasons. You weren't giving roles for the right reasons. You were giving roles for selfish reasons and for reasons that were a little aberrated and not necessarily on the right path to unify. It was more separating, right? And they didn't realize that until it was way too late, and a lot of films just tanked. And with a couple more films that have been in the can that are going to be released that are still going to tank because they were shot during that period. So we're going to still have a few clunkers. Snow White was one of them that came out and really had a huge nosedive because of that whole mentality, right? So this is part of the community that, yes, it has to have a leader. You have to have someone with a mindset that understands that community can really build careers for others. I will put together a group of people in the hopes that they will go do a lot of work, and maybe down the line, if the opportunity comes, they'll be like, hey, that little Puerto Rican guy, maybe we can cast him. Maybe he can direct. Maybe he can assistant direct. Maybe he can help with lighting, whatever it is. Maybe he can make sandwiches for us. Whatever the case may be, they will bring me in the mix because I'm part of their community, and there's more opportunities, right? A thing that I did recently, I no, actually, I did an audition for something recently, a year ago, actually, not that recent, but it's now about a year. I didn't get it, but they remembered me. They called me back and had me audition another thing. I did get that. They liked it so much. They said, "Hey, maybe we'll call you again for another thing." I said, "Cool." They just called yesterday, as a matter of fact, and now I'm booked again for next week. So all these things align to being there, having the right mindset, having the right community, being in the right. I've done shows on how to behave on set, how to do auditions, all that stuff. You should look at those as well. But today we're talking about 10 ways now to build a creative community. So let's get started with our list here. Let me get a sip of this delicious coffee, Brick and Brew. If anybody's interested, give me a holler. I'll let you know where you can get. It's called Brick and Brew. It's incredible, but it's not. You can't just go onto a website and buy it. They do have a website, but they're not doing it that way right now. There's a very soft launch. So anyway, just a little coffee plug for my buddies at Brick and Brew. Mm, it's just amazing. All right, so let's get started here. 10 ways to build a creative community. Number one, host regular networking events where artists, songwriters, filmmakers, and entrepreneurs can meet and connect. Obvious, that's going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to put together. Where can you put that together? Pretty simply, Facebook. Well, I can't say the name of the platforms, but there's the one with the blue F, the one with the X, the one with the all the ones. You know what they are. All the social media platforms, right? Put those, create something there to put it together. Then what do you do after that? You promote it. You get a little ad, create a little flyer on one of the platforms where you can create flyers, Canva, for instance, and then you start boom, 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 and you start promoting it. You start telling people about it. You find a location, right? And then you do a meetup. Maybe that first meetup, there'll be only three of you. Then the next one, there'll be five because you're going to document it, right? And you're going to put up pictures of the connection. Then the next time you might have 10, and who knows how big it can become. But now you're doing something. You're actually building a community. Number two, organize writers rounds and showcases that give emerging talent a chance to perform in a welcoming environment. This is really great. I've done two of these so far. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these as soon as I get more venues. So if you're a venue out there and you're looking to bring a writers round to you, I have all the artists and I can do all the promotion. I just need the venue. I had one venue, they shut down. I might be getting the venue again because they're reopening again under a new name. So I'll meet the owners there. We'll see how that works. I have another one at the church. I have one at this. Like actually, I won't even give the names yet because they're not fully confirmed. But this is what I'm working on to get the venue so I can have writers rounds in different locations. That's my that's what I'm thinking with, right? Number three, feature other creatives on your live stream podcast or interview series to introduce them to new audiences. So I do that all the time. I've done hundreds of interviews. I just did an interview recently with a lovely actress. I did another one with a lovely actor named Carter Nelms was on. Great, 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 great guy, and we had a great conversation on art and introducing him to a new audience. So this is something that you can do. You can start pretty simply. You can do a live stream on your phone on any of the platforms, pretty much. And there's your podcast, there's your interview. Just the key thing is to start and stop looking at the barriers because a barrier will always come. I'm telling you, you can tell someone, hey, we're going to go over here. Oh, do we have money for that? Boom, barrier. Hey, we're going to go do this over here. Hey, oh man, but traffic is really bad. Barrier. Stop putting barriers when the original thing didn't call for it. It's stupid. It's just that part of your mind that's telling you you can't do it. And you got to break away from it. You got to rise above from it. You come up with the idea and you just start doing it. You stop with thinking of what the negative things are and what can stop you from doing it. I mean, it really drives me bananas. So that's that one. Number four, create a private online community. So I have one on the Blue F place that's owned by a guy named Mark. And I have one there. It's free. You just join. It's a community. We have almost 500 people in there. And it's a great community to meet people and to just network. Number five, this is important. I did a whole episode on this. Celebrate other people's successes. Matter of fact, I wrote a blog, a newsletter on this on one of the platforms, the more business kind one that starts with an L. Yeah, with an L. And I did that one there, and that actually has done really well. That one particular uh, newsletter, for some reason, really hit a nerve. Celebrate other people's successes, share their new music, films, books, performances, and accomplishments without expecting anything in return. I just saw a young lady who's a very great singer. She's performing Sunday night, not too far from where I live. I found out where the venue is. I asked her. I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what? I'm gonna come by, so I'll come by and check her out and take some photos and celebrate her successes." Right. Number six, connect people who should know each other. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is make the right connection, make the right introduction. So this is really, really important as well. You know people, you know a lot of people in different industries, introduce them. If somebody says, "Yeah, I'm looking for a director," you go, "Hey, I know a director. I know somebody that can do it," right? Boom, boom, boom. Or I need an actress that looks like this and is this and this. I know someone, why don't you give them a call? Try them out, see what it is, make those connections. It's very, very important. And it also makes you valuable in that community. People, when I was in New Jersey, I used to be called all the time. "Hey, we're looking for a venue like or a restaurant like this." "Hey, I know a guy with a restaurant." Boom, they shot a film in this whole restaurant. "Hey, I need a flower shop." "Hey, I know a flower shop." "I know a real estate agent." "Hey, I know a real estate. I used to be a real estate agent. I know the agency." I shot about 3 films in that same office because I had access to it. Right. So you meet people, you make good connections, and then you can introduce people. That makes you very valuable in the industry. Number seven, offer your knowledge and experience. Mentor someone who is starting out or host workshops that teach practical skills. So I don't host workshops. I've done a lot of online webinars and things like that. I do want to get more into the workshops and teach practical skills. I'm working on putting something together for that eventually. I do mentor people. I have a lot of artists that I work with. Obviously, I have a talent agency. I have one artist that I'm working with officially on paper, but I also have a meeting today with a young actress, a wonderful young actress, very beautiful, very talented. Meeting with her at 9 a.m. actually in about an hour and a half, and we're going to have a conversation on the mentorship and actually JHS Talent Management as well, and a project that she's working on. And so I do that as often as I can to try to help others not make the same mistakes that I've made, and just learn from my experience and to help others with that experience. Number eight, collaborate across creative fields. Bring together musicians, filmmakers, photographers, writers, and visual artists to create projects that benefit everyone involved. This is a very you know you know there's different creative fields, like film and music to me go together anyway. Can you imagine a film with no music? And when you listen to music, you think cinematically, or at least I do. When you hear a song, you immediately create your own images, right? When you hear a song. So these two mediums really, really go well together. So collaborate across different fields. If you're a filmmaker, try to see what you can do in music. Maybe you can direct a music video, right? If you're a musician, see if you can direct your own music video. You cross into different fields, and see how you can bring those things together. If you know a photographer, you can invite him or her onto a set. You have to pay photographers, obviously, but you ask them, how much would you just to be on set for like an hour and take some behind the scenes photos for us. It'll give them experience doing that because they probably have never done that before. It'll give you experience to have someone on set doing that, and it'll make another connection. So many ways. I mean, you have to just sit there and really just come up with them, write them all down. Number nine, this one is important. Be consistent. Communities are built through regular events, communication, and follow through, not one time gathering. This is the biggest cancer of these types of events and these types of community building programs and projects, is that they'll come together for one event and then they won't have another one for another 6 months. You have to be consistent. So if you're coming together for anything, You have to already start planning them in advance. So don't just say, all right, we're going to meet next month at this time. Say, okay, we're going to meet the second Tuesday of every single month for 6 months. That's the plan. And now you give everyone the dates. You have the dates already. And now at least you have 6 months of consistency. Commit yourself, hold yourself accountable, and show up. This is very important. I read in The Way to Happiness all the time. Be industrious, right? But there's another one here. This is The Way to Happiness, a common sense guide to better living that I live my life through. And let me see if I can find it fairly quickly here. Be competent. This is a very important one. Be competent. I'm not going to read this one now, but maybe I'll read it in the future. If you want your own copy, let me know. Actually, you can go to the website and get your own copies of there, and you can also read them and see videos on that, on The Way to Happiness. It's just The Way to Happiness. I'll flash it on the screen real quick since I'm here. Boom, thewaytohappiness.org. All right. So that one is very important. So do that. Do that. Be consistent. All right. Number 10, and the final one here is lead by serving. Ask yourself, how can I help someone today? The strongest communities are built by leaders who create opportunities for others, knowing that success grows when it's shared. So that is a major, major thing. And you ask yourself this, who can I help today? Right? Maybe it's just a simple, maybe you don't have any meetings, or maybe it's a slower day. You can do a live stream, or you can do a quick video on one of the platforms and just say and offer something. Hey, have you ever had this happened to you? Well, here's what I did, and here's some advice, and maybe will help you on your journey. And do a quick little 2-minute video on how you could help somebody. That is really important. Somebody's going to see it. Somebody's going to be like, hey, that's true. They may even use it, not even they may not even be artists, but they'll see it, and they could apply to it, right? Because a lot of the stuff you could apply to anything, really, right? All right, closing thoughts here. Communities aren't built by the people asking, what can I get? They're built by people asking, what can I give? When you become someone who creates opportunities for others, you'll often discover that opportunities begin finding you. All right, my friends, want to thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Every morning, I'm here, 7 a.m. Central. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a filmmaker, musician, and I host a live stream show also on Sunday nights called Wellness Talk with George Batista. And I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. I have a lot of data in my head. I'd love to share it with you. If you have any questions or anything, email me, johnhenrysoto@gmail.com. And also like and subscribe wherever you're seeing this now. I appreciate you all very much. We're doing 20 days of JHS Talent Management journey, and we are up to day number. I dropped my sheet of paper here. Here it is. We are up to number. Today was 17, day 17. Tomorrow is day 18, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about what filmmaking taught me about leadership. That's tomorrow's episode. I hope you could join us there at 7 a.m. Central. And thank you so much for being here today. Take care. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Take care of each other. We're all what we got. We're all we got on this little planet. See you tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.